There's a story about a chess champion who played for many years and knew all the best moves. But one day, a total beginner beat him. How? Simple. The beginner didn't follow the usual rules. They moved the pieces in ways that weren't supposed to work, but somehow they did. The champion wasn't bad at chess. He was just stuck in a certain way of thinking. He had spent his whole life playing inside a set of rules, while the beginner didn't even know the rules existed. Now think about this. What if you're doing the same thing, not in chess, but in real life? Since you were little, you've been told what's possible, what's normal, and how to live your life. You follow these ideas not because you decided to, but because you never thought about breaking the rules. Imagine if someone told you gravity only works because you believe in it. Sounds crazy, right? But think about it. If you grew up in a world where people floated, you wouldn't question it. That would just be normal. Reality isn't just what exists, it's what you accept as real. Try this test. Look around you and find everything that's red. Memorize it. Now, without looking again, how many blue things did you see? Chances are you didn't notice the blue things because you were only focused on red. If your brain can block out colors just because it wasn't expecting them, what else is it hiding from you? How your brain shapes your world. Your brain decides what's important and filters out everything else. This happens all the time, even when you don't realize it. For example, there's a trick where if someone nods while talking, others are more likely to agree with them without knowing why. Salespeople and politicians use this all the time. Once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Your brain doesn't just filter what you see, it also erases thoughts. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went there? That's called the doorway effect. Your brain deletes short-term memories when you move to a new space because it assumes the old information isn't needed anymore. But what if this happens with ideas too? You might hear something life-changing, something that makes you see the world differently. But after a few days, the thought fades away, just like a dream that slips from your mind after waking up. Why most people stay stuck? When you were a kid, you had a wild imagination. A cardboard box could be a spaceship, a castle, or anything you wanted. But as you grew up, your mind stopped seeing those possibilities. Society rewards people who follow the usual way of thinking, so your brain learned to erase ideas that didn't fit. Ever looked at an optical illusion and once you saw the trick, couldn't unsee it? Your brain locks in new ideas once they seem useful, but it also does the opposite. It deletes things that don't fit your existing beliefs. Most people stay inside the same mental box their whole lives, not because they can't see beyond it, but because their brain won't even let them look. What happens? When you start paying attention, your brain controls what you see, remember, and believe. But if it's filtering reality for you, then who's really in control? Ever had someone say, "You always do this?" And at first, you deny it? But later, while taking a shower, you start wondering, wait, do I? That's your brain blocking information in real time to protect its version of reality. This is why some people refuse to believe something even when there's clear proof. Their brain isn't trying to be logical, it's just protecting its existing beliefs. Have you ever learned a new word and suddenly started seeing it everywhere? Or gotten a new car and suddenly noticed lots of people driving the same model? That's called the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon. The word or car was always there, you just didn't notice it before. So here's the big question. If your brain only lets you see what it thinks is important, what else is it hiding from you? How to change your reality. The key to changing your world isn't learning new things, it's noticing what you've been trained to ignore. The moment you start paying attention to the things your brain usually filters out, your whole world starts to shift. You start seeing opportunities, ideas, and solutions that were invisible before. Because the truth is, reality isn't just what exists, it's what you allow yourself to see. Have you ever tried to remember a dream right after waking up, only for it to disappear the moment you focus on it, like it was never even there? That's your brain's filter in action. It doesn't just forget things, it actively erases them. And this isn't just about dreams. Your brain does this with your everyday thoughts too. Try this. Think of something that truly excites you. A dream job, an idea that sparks your curiosity, or something you've always wanted to do but never tried. Now pay attention. What was your next thought? Chances are your brain immediately responded with something like, "That's not realistic. You don't have time for that. What if it doesn't work?" Your mind treats new thoughts like security threats. It prefers familiarity over possibility because possibilities bring change, and change feels risky. Even when there's no actual danger, your brain reacts as if there is. Ever felt your phone vibrate in your pocket only to check and see nothing? That's called phantom vibration syndrome. Your brain expects a notification so strongly that it creates the sensation from nothing. Now think about what else your brain expects. If it expects life to be hard, it will be. If it expects opportunities to be rare, they will be. If it expects failure, it will find proof of it everywhere. Your life won't change until your expectations do. Right now, your brain is like an outdated GPS, leading you down the same paths over and over, convinced it knows the best route. And that's why people feel stuck. Not because there aren't better options, but because their brain filters them out before they even get a chance to see them. Now here's where it gets even crazier. Scientists have discovered that your brain makes decisions before you're even aware of them. Before you pick up a drink, send a text, or come up with an idea, your brain has already made the choice in the background. So the real question isn't, what do you want to do? It's, who's choosing your thoughts before you even get a say? Because if your brain is deciding what's possible before you even think about it, how much of your life have you actually chosen? And it gets weirder. Your brain doesn't just decide what's important, it decides what's invisible. Ever lost something, searched everywhere, and then found it sitting right in front of you? That wasn't just forgetfulness, that was your brain deleting information in real time. It's called inattentional blindness, your mind filtering out things that don't match what it expects. If your brain decides your keys aren't on the table, you literally won't see them, even if they're right there. Now apply that to everything else in your life. If your brain expects life to be difficult, it deletes signs that things could be easy. If it expects rejection, it ignores signs of acceptance. If it expects struggle, it blinds you to better possibilities. This is why some people seem to attract success effortlessly while others stay stuck no matter how hard they try. It's not luck, it's perception. If your brain refuses to acknowledge something, it might as well not exist. And the strangest part? Your brain doesn't just filter reality, it fills in the gaps with made-up information. Scientists ran an experiment where people were shown two different faces in quick succession. The first was one person, the second was someone entirely different, but most participants didn't even notice the change. Their brains blended the two faces together and created a memory of a person who never existed. This happens all the time. Think of a childhood memory. The more you've recalled it, the less accurate it likely is. Every time you remember something, your brain subtly rewrites it, filling in missing details, changing small parts, and saving the new version over the old one. Over time, some of your clearest memories may not be real at all. Let's put it all together. Your brain deletes what doesn't fit its expectations. It fills in missing details with made-up information. It changes memories every time you recall them. Yet, we trust it completely. We assume our perception is accurate. We assume our memories are reliable. We assume our thoughts are our own. But are they? And if not, how do you ever really know what's real? Most people will never question this. They'll go through life believing what they see, remember, and think is the absolute truth. Not because they've tested it, but because they never thought to challenge it. That's exactly how the system is designed to work. Here's something most motivational talks won't tell you. Most people don't change, not because they can't, but because they never realize they should. You've probably met people who seem to live in a completely different world, even though they exist in the same reality as you. The ones who attract opportunities, make things look easy, and always seem to be in the right place at the right time. It's not luck. It's their perception. They see what others don't, not because they're smarter, but because their mental filter isn't blocking them. You weren't taught to see beyond the version of reality you were given. And once your mind locked onto that version, it started deleting anything that didn't fit. But here's the twist. You can rewire the filter, you can train your brain to stop ignoring opportunities, to stop reinforcing old patterns, to stop repeating the same script. And it doesn't require a life-changing event. It starts with small shifts. Step 1. Question everything you assume is true. Why do you believe what you believe? Where did that belief come from? And most importantly, who benefits from you thinking that way? Step 2. Break your mental patterns. Ever notice how traveling, meeting new people, or trying something new makes your mind feel more awake? That's because new experiences disrupt the filter. They force your brain to create new connections. Step 3. Catch the autopilot moments. Every time you say, "That's just the way I am," pause. Is it? Or is that just a story you've been telling yourself for years? Most people will never do this. Not because they can't, but because their mental filter blocks the idea of questioning reality itself. But once you see the pattern, you can break it. And once you break it, reality starts working for you instead of against you. At that point, you're not just playing the game, you're the one rewriting the rules. So, what do you think? Have you ever caught yourself running on autopilot or noticing reality shift in ways you can't explain? Let me know your thoughts. And if you're ready to go even deeper, stick around. This is just the beginning.